On this podcast, I'm with the Dobsons, a power couple from down in Essex. We talk about the transition of corporate life to business to property and investing £25,000 in property training on a credit card when they didn't have any money, the impact that had on their lives, and also missing out on £2 million on one single deal. It's a property soon after they sold it, Banksy painted the side of the wall, then that wall in itself was sold for £2 million, and a lot more we cover in this podcast, so let's jump straight into it.
Yeah, very quickly, we made a quick 80,000 profit on this building, and very shortly after, just part of it was worth 2 million.
And then Neil had an opportunity with a little sum to leave the job that he was doing. We decided, as we were life partners, that we wanted to actually do something rather than just work and sort of live for holidays and weekends.
So money was very tight, but Jackie had disappeared and
Yes.
waving the credit card about the back of the room.
Stick it on that.
Stick it on that, and yeah, we then bought the 3-day boot camp, which is the normal progression, isn't it, as we've discovered since.
Yeah. Neil, Jackie, first of all, thank you so much for coming along, being on the couch. Now, a little birdie tells me that one of your early properties, you had Banksy do a bit of paintwork on the side, and then the wall was sold for £2 million, just the wall.
Absolutely, yeah.
Tell me about that story.
Yeah.
We've got to start there.
Good afternoon, is it? Good afternoon, and yeah, pleasure to be here. Yeah, very quickly, we made a quick 80,000 profit on this building, and very shortly after, just part of it was worth 2 million.
So you didn't make the 2 million?
Unfortunately not, no.
It was a few months after you did the deal. So you'd sold the property on somebody else. You made a nice little tidy profit, 80 grand on that. And then Banksy did a little bit of work on the sidewall. So somebody else got that benefit.
Absolutely.
You win some, you lose some.
Not us, yeah. Not on this occasion, yeah.
So you've been involved in property about 6 years
That's right.
now. So tell us about the journey, the kind of transition from what you were doing to what got you involved in property.
Oh my goodness. So we both actually worked in the motor trade. And then Neil had an opportunity with a little sum to leave the job that he was doing. We decided, as we were life partners, that we wanted to actually do something rather than just work and sort of live for holidays and weekends. Our first sort of dip into business was running a vintage tea room, which we did for 5 years, but that got to the stage where it was so hard. Hospitality is a very, very hard business to be in. And then we fell into property and we haven't looked back.
Unbeknown to us, though, that setting up that tea room, because we negotiated the lease and we used other people's money to set it up. So that was our first real dip into the world of property without realising.
Yes. And so what was it about property that was appealing? So what was the thinking about running your own business, a tea room, coming from the motor trade as a background, thinking actually maybe property is where we should be going?
Not the obvious transition, is it? From originally a motor technician, and then I was running the dealership. And you were working for Porsche at the time as well, so we're both motor trade. But yeah, you decided the 1940s tea room was our next step, and I didn't disagree, so that was that. But we had a fantastic time for the first 2.5 years, roughly, with the tea room. Made some good money. We were a real destination, but the competition around us just grew and grew and grew. And we watched profits sort of diminish, so we knew we had to do something. Yeah. So we planned sort of a year in transition from getting out the tea room into property. So basically it came about as I was flicking through Facebook, saw an advert for a free workshop.
Okay, yeah.
Just around the corner from us. So I signed us up, and the rest is history.
What did you hear on that day that thought, we need to be doing property?
Oh my goodness. We'd always been watching, when we had like days off, it would be Homes Under the Hammer.
Yes.
And we were always thinking, how do these people...
So many people.
I know. We're like, how do they do it? It can't be that hard if so many people are doing it.
Especially some of the people you see doing it.
Oh my goodness.
If they can do it, I'm sure I can manage it.
Well, yeah, and you wonder how accurate those stories are as well, don't you?
But we went to the workshop, this lady was just telling us about the most sort of amazing life that she has. She seemed like really normal, and she just really sold us on the dream, not just on sort of property, but the lifestyle that came with us.
The choice you can make.
Absolutely, yeah. I suppose that's what it was really. It was the actual freedom of choice that property brings you. And yeah, so I was just absolutely sold on it. So I actually went running up to the back
Yeah, at this point, we were propping up the tea room financially.
Yes.
So money was very tight, but Jackie had disappeared and was waving the credit card about the back of the room.
Stick it on that.
Stick it on that. And yeah, we then bought the 3-day boot camp, which is the normal progression, isn't it, as we've discovered since.
Yeah.
But we'd done no research on this company.
Yes.
And we were sceptical that we'd turn up in London to this event and it'd be an empty room.
Okay, on the 3-day, right? Okay.
Yeah, and been scammed, but no, it's the first time that I've ever sat still for 3 days in a classroom environment, being absolutely what's the word?
Captivated.
Captivated by what I was hearing and the people that were delivering it. So yeah, we were then sold on it, and then Jackie disappeared out of the seat again. And what was your next investment?
Yeah, 25 grand on
Okay,
on 2
so
years.
you went through the classic 1-day free event, 3-day course, 25 grand, a mentorship. But I guess the reason you're sitting here now because you're one of the few that did something that most people don't. That's actually do something with that.
Absolutely, yeah. I don't know how people just put that amount of money down on a credit card and don't follow it through. But that was what actually drove us, the fact that we now had £25,000 sitting over 5 credit cards, and we were like, well, we've got no option.
That was the reason why you're back against the wall now.
100%. Yeah, we didn't know. There was no thought in, we need to pay this back. It was just that we needed to do the course. There was something properly in my soul, I don't know about you, that we just knew we needed to do this. This was our destiny. Yeah,
there was a couple of things. We still hadn't sold the tea room, so we didn't know when.
So you're still operating that as well at the same time?
Yes, yeah. So we had a year in this transition, and we kept reducing the price of the tea room.
Right, selling the business.
Selling the business just to get it gone, really, so we could create a new life. £25,000 worth of debt was massive to us at that point, so we knew we had to make it work.
It's a lot of money.
Yeah,
it
absolutely.
Is a lot of money, yeah.
But
it's an average salary, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely.
It is, but we backed ourselves. We believed in ourselves. We bought a 2-year program with 𝗵𝗲𝗁.
Yeah.
And we just implemented, took it all in, sat everything. We're at every event, every webinar, we were there, absorbed it all and implemented it.
Yeah, so you had all the information, the knowledge. It was the case, okay, and you had a strong reason why you needed to do this.
Absolutely,
You had that huge debt sitting there that drove you forward. So was there a strategy, a plan that you'd created, or was it a case of we'll figure it out as we go along?
There was a plan. Our plan initially was to build a pension pot.
Okay.
But we realised quite quickly that we were really good at finding deals. I think the area we actually hit on, nobody had really discovered that area. Prices were really quite reasonable. We were getting really good offers accepted, and we found that we were really successful in raising money to buy them as well. So what came from just the need, obviously, to pay back the 25 grand, but also to build a pension pot, because we were having so many successes, we were like, oh, we could actually, do this full time. So so that's how it really sort of snowballed.
And what do you think that you were doing that enabled you to find deals that were attractive where maybe other people weren't?
Following our education, 100%. Yeah, we were told
implementing the knowledge.
We were told how to work the numbers. We were doing that to a T. I'm not much of a risk taker. Neil is quite a risk taker. So between the two of us,
nice balance.
Very analytical.
Running the numbers time and time and time again. And Neil's very like, let's just put an offer in. And I'm like, whoa, hold on a sec. So we were just doing that. We were told to put offers in, to put offers in, and that's exactly what we did. Yeah.
Excellent. Doing lots of viewings, putting the offers in, making sure the numbers work, and say it's that or we're not going
Absolutely.
forward.
I mean, again, it's not rocket science. It's just believing in the process. And implementation, making sure that you're out there constantly being consistent, and consistency is a huge part, I think. It's getting your name out there, becoming the go-to people. To the point, very quickly become the go-to people in our investment area, because they knew if we put an offer in, that we'd see it through.
So you're active, you're visible, and that's really important. And yes, you can do great things sitting at the computer, but there's nothing beats meeting people, talking to them face to face.
Absolutely. We had good mentor. They came out and spent, was it 2 or 3 days with us in our investment area. So they walked the streets with us and
Good.
yeah, showed us the benefits of walking the streets and seeing the microeconomies and
Yes.
good places to buy and rent and bad places to avoid. So we believe we fell on our feet and bought the right program, and the £25,000
Yes.
investment has been phenomenal.
You've heard the phrase, your network is your net worth, and you'll also hear it in this particular podcast as well. That's because people in property recognize the importance of being connected with other people. Property is a people business, and that's the reason I've been running a networking event for over a decade now. Each and every month we bring like-minded people together, an opportunity for you to come along and meet some of those people and also learn from other people on the stage, learn from myself as well. So make sure you book on to the next meeting. We're on the third Tuesday of every month in Birmingham. Now let's get back to the podcast. So in terms of the projects, the plan was to keep and build a pension. So it wasn't, we're going to be flipping properties. That's not what you were looking to do. So why is it that that was the route you decided to do? We want to buy and keep.
We wanted cash flow. Cash flow for us at that time was quite key because we were coming out of the tea room. Well, then we needed obviously to earn some money. We didn't want to go and be employees.
Yes.
We wanted to work together and build our lives together. So we obviously got bills to pay, needed to earn something to pay those bills.
And that gives you the regularity of income.
Absolutely. Another deciding factor which we haven't mentioned is I had quite a nice pension lined up, final salary pension that went into administration.
Wow.
So it went into the government's protection fund,
right.
And we just got compensation. So.
Gosh.
We knew, at my age then, we were about 50, I was about 53, 54 when we got into property.
Yeah.
That paying into a pension would never create the pension we desired.
Yes.
So we need to build our own, and that's why property was the go-to, really.
It's that recognition that actually, the government's not really going to take care of it in our old age. We've got to be doing that ourselves. We've got to make sure that we've got things and measures in place to look after yourself.
Absolutely. Yeah. You can either feel sorry for yourself or get out there and make it happen.
About it.
Create your own destiny,
Yeah. So talk me through a typical kind of like the first deal that you did and how that worked out, because that's always a scary one.
Oh my goodness, yeah, that was. We were actually, the first one we did, we were going to flip it.
Okay.
But then we realised, I think we bought it for 82.
Yeah.
It was a little 2-bed bungalow, hadn't been modernised, I think, since like the 60s.
Okay.
So it was, it was in need. It didn't have any...
Screaming out renovation.
Oh my goodness, yeah. It didn't have any running hot water. Wow. It had gas fires, no central heating. So I wouldn't advise that sort of project actually now, what we did, but because we didn't know anything.
Point,
but we didn't know anything. Yeah. So we just were like, the numbers will work. Yeah. Let's go and do it.
Well, actually, Jackie said that I cannot go over 78,000.
Right.
That's where it works for us.
Yes.
With the 25% profit on a flip,
Yeah.
But to get it, I had to go over 80.
Right.
So I paid 82 for it. But
okay.
This is quite a good story actually about people. It's a people's game, and people forget that.
Yeah, property is a people business.
Absolutely, because the chap that showed it around hadn't actually seen the property himself. He'd only just picked up the keys.
This is the agent?
Yeah.
Okay.
He was more interested in the belongings in it and what value they had than the property itself. So you were doing the viewing. This has really worked for us for years and years as a result. Is one of us will do the viewing as such, the other will pin down the agent and get as much out of them as they can.
Good model.
Yeah, and he said, I love sort of antiques and classic stuff. I've got a couple of classic cars at home. And I said, what cars are they? He said, they're Saabs. And I was a Saab technician.
Right. Well, okay.
So as soon as I said, well, I know my way around your cars like the back of my hand, he wanted us to buy that property from that moment.
Some great rapport there.
Yeah. So, and this was going to auction with a guy at 110, never got there. And we bought it for 82.
Wow.
Prior to auction. So yeah, it's people.
And did you renovate that one then, or?
Yeah, we did.
We did everything wrong.
I was going to say, did it come in on budget?
No, it didn't come in on budget. We were way over budget. We got the wrong build team. We did everything wrong.
Yes, there's a learning. Sometimes that's the price you pay to get into the industry.
What we didn't get wrong was the fact that we created a nice big, because we took internal walls out and everything.
Okay.
Created a nice modern open plan living and everything. So
it looked great.
Oh, it was. Yeah, it was fantastic. And we did everything, literally everything. And the revaluation came back, was it 25,000 more than we'd run our numbers at? So we got all our money out.
Okay, so you refinance it rather than selling it?
Yeah, we did.
That's still rented today, yeah. It's the same family.
Yeah.
5.5 years on.
When you're refinancing, because we're talking about essentially BRR type strategy where you're buying, refurbishing, renting, refinancing it, taking the money out, going again, building a portfolio in that way. Personally, I'm not a big fan of BRR as a cash flow strategy from single lets. I think by the time you've taken the mortgage costs out, some management, maybe a little bit of voids, possibly a little bit of maintenance throughout the year, you're actually left with quite a small amount of money at the end of the day. And so on single lets, I find it really difficult to make that, which is why we don't like to keep single lets. What's your thinking? Is that something you've made work, or you've kind of transitioned away from that, or?
We've actually created multiple streams of income.
Okay.
We're sort of building the portfolio still for the pension, but the money that we manage to get, the uplift that we make, really goes on to the next project.
So recycle the cash into the next project.
Yeah, so it's transitioned, especially now with the interest rates being what they are, it's transitioned really from having that cash flow to now just doing sort of the money out offers and then getting that bulk amount to be able to put into the next. So that's building the pot for the future. But our lifestyle is really funded by our service accommodation units.
Okay, so the high cash flow stuff. And same for us, HMOs and service accommodation is where we generate most of our cash flow from. So what was the transition to service accommodation? I know you were kind of hospitality-ish background with the tea rooms, so there's maybe a little bit of a connection there. Yeah,
as far as, the buy-to-lets, or BRR as they're now known, in that 5-6 years, that market's changed completely.
Yes.
We were getting some seriously good cash flow in 2018, 2019.
The interest rates were much lower, yes.
Yeah, there is less deals about significantly below market value. I think it's a bit swamped.
Yes.
So we had to transition, but our original mindset was never to be full-time property.
Okay.
It's only because we became quite successful at it.
Yes.
And then you got made redundant in March 2020. Because when we'd sold the tea room, we then
Something else was going on around that time as well, I think.
Yeah, there was, yeah.
But
we sold the tea room,
right.
And we were obviously unmortgageable then because we hadn't got an income.
Yes.
So one of us had to go back to work. So the old
stay mortgageable, yeah.
Coin was tossed, and Jackie's far more employable than me, so she won the day.
Yes.
Or not. So then you got made redundant in March 2020, and we were just, we were short of money then, really short of money.
Yeah, we were.
We got 3 buy-to-lets. We just bought a 4,500 square foot shop.
Okay.
We just got 2 apartments we turned into SA as well. So everything was going out and not coming in.
Yes.
So our only income was 3 buy-to-lets at that point.
And in property, it's very easy to become asset rich and cash poor.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes, we know that.
All these properties, empty pockets.
Yeah. And you can't get your hands on it quickly if you need it. That's the trouble. But as long as you manage your assets correctly, you won't run out of money. When you got made redundant, really, that's when everything changed, wasn't it? Because we were both full-time property. We really knuckled down because we knew we had to get some cash flow quickly. So in lockdown, we end up refurbing the 2 SA units ourselves.
Okay.
And getting them up and running in lockdown. It's not a great time to sort of.
So what was the plan to renovate them and operate them as serviced accommodation?
Always, yeah.
So we came across a house, a little terraced house that had been already split. It was it was on one title, so it's still a freehold.
Yeah.
But it had been split into 2. But it still had shared garden and shared drive.
Okay.
So it didn't work as like rentals.
Yes.
But we'd started to sort of look into service accommodation, just learn about it as another strategy, but not really looking at it one to do. But this property got the most beautiful views of a harbour, and because of the shared garden and the shared driveway, we were like, well, it won't work as a rental property, not one that you can buy and flip either because of that. So I was like, where it is, it'd be a waste to sort of have it as a rental anyway. So we thought, let's do it as service accommodation.
So it was almost a case of it was the right time, the right property. And thought, okay, we're exploring this, so let's try this.
Absolutely, yeah. And we, again, got it at a really good rate, didn't we?
Well, this is where there's double standards, because I saw the money or the figure at 145.
Right.
Jackie said, well, I just want it at any cost. Because she wanted her first SA unit.
Yeah.
And we got it for 155, which is, we went through the process. Everything was perfect, apart from, if you like, the timing, because we went straight into lockdown. But actually, that became a blessing for us from an SA operator.
Okay.
Because we filled it with key workers.
Excellent.
So we had to explore avenues to get it to cash flow. And I mean, they paid 18-month booking, didn't we? Straight off.
Yeah.
Excellent.
So that booking had paid all the overheads for 18 months, 2 years. So we knew we were on a winner there.
Excellent.
And then we got the refinance on it and got all the money out. So we got revalued at 230.
Okay.
We paid 155 for it. So.
Yeah. So refinance that. So that was the entry into service accommodation. So then you continue to grow that business. Did you get
well, we weren't really intending to, were we? But then we had an email that dropped into our inbox.
Well, we had a deal. I'll just start the beginning. We had a deal fall through, which meant we'd got this lump of cash, private fund of cash.
Money ready for a deal that fell through.
And we don't like it sitting around.
But it was somebody else's money.
Our whole portfolio is built with other people's money, private funders who earn very well out of us. So it's a two-way thing. Definitely a win-win. But we got an email inquiry on the two we'd just set up. Right. 2 SAs we'd just set up, asking if we could house 27 crewmen.
Oh wow!
And we got 3 bedrooms between these two. So it was an obvious.
It might be a little bit tight though.
Obvious no. But I rang them straight away and said, we can do that. Yeah, no problem. What's your budget? When do you need it? And they needed to get them in a 4 weeks' time, didn't they? So we just went searching. Initially, we thought we'd do rent to rent on 4 or 5 bedroom houses. Okay. And we'd make some money, structure it like that. But we put no parameters in Rightmove apart from location and rent, didn't we? Rental properties.
To see what comes up.
Hit go.
Yeah.
And this one apartment popped up with 35 bedrooms, it said.
Right, okay. Clearly not listed very well.
No, it wasn't listed very well at all, no. So I made an inquiry and the agent said, I don't know, I don't know anything about it, mate. I'll give you the owner's number.
Right, okay.
So that was music to our ears, obviously. Yeah. So we met him on site, and they're 500 yards from our other two. Right. Met him on site. It just spent £800,000 refurbing them, 19 apartments. Okay. Actually, it was 19 apartments with 35 bedrooms. Right. So there's a combination of 1 bed, 2 bed, and 3 bed. So we'd done a deal within a week. Okay. We'd used the private funders' money for the deposit and sort of branding them our way. Yeah. And got them set up and running. There's already guests in there, so we had cash flow from day one. Okay. So this was the booking for the crewmen? I didn't take them all in the end. Oh, okay. I gave them 6 apartments in the end, took 12 of their crew. Yeah. Because it was a fairly keen rate, should we say. I was giving them a nightly rate. Yeah. But it paid our overheads. Okay, so you could see actually, if I get my overheads covered with this booking, then we got scope to create some more profit. Absolutely, yeah. And we already had guests in there, which came with it. So we were cash flowing quite nicely from day one. This company gave us, again, a 20-month contract. Right. So we knew our overheads were covered for 20 months. And then we got another 12 apartments. 12, 13 apartments to rent out for. Yes. To make some real money. So over time, you've evolved in terms of different strategies, or pivot, a phrase that you used earlier on. And looking back now, do you think that was the right route, or do you think actually having one plan at the beginning and say, right, this is the way we're going and that's it? Or is it important to be open to the idea of we need to be adapting? I think what we did was we became experts in our investment area. Yes. So we really knew the needs of the area and what was happening. So instead of sort of thinking, oh, I'm going to go and do this strategy and then looking for that, it was more like, we know, like with the service accommodation, it's a holiday destination plus there's massive wind farms on the coast as well. Yeah. So we knew there was always going to be workers coming in needing places to stay. And because we knew that, when the service accommodation opportunity, especially the big one, the 19 apartments came, we knew that we could fill them. So because we had that information, we knew that was going to be the right thing to do.
I think it's really valuable having knowledge in one area and building that up. And that's the way we like to do it as well. In this case, we'll invest for about 40 minutes from here. If it's beyond 40 minutes, we're not particularly interested. And what that means is you build up your contacts, your connections, your understanding of the area. You know which side of the street is the wrong side of a street, where from out of town you won't necessarily know that.
I think what happened to us is we sort of become very, very good at buy-to-lets or buy, refurbish, refinance. And we made mistakes. Once we got 3 or 4 under our belt, we thought we could master any strategy. And wasted a lot of time because we diluted ourselves, you know, and we never really focused on any particular strategy. So, I mean, my mindset is become a master of one and then see it evolve from there, really. See what opportunities come your way. Because we've got some of our mentees are doing fantastically well, focusing on one strategy. We tend to say, well, we don't agree with the 80-20, just give 100% to one strategy, master that. And then other opportunities will come your way. And if you've got the right team and network around you, you'll always have someone to lean on and you know, get the backing from. So we are very much 100% on one strategy to start with, and then watch it evolve from there, really.
I think that's really good. I think it's also good to think about the personality type, because some people, like me, struggle with focusing on one thing at one time. So you need something else to occupy a portion of your time, that variety. So I think the personality aspect is important. Some people are very disciplined, you know, I'm just doing this, get the blinkers on, I'm not getting distracted by anything else. Because there's so many distractions in property. Once you start, it's like there's shiny pennies everywhere.
Oh, I know, I know.
That really is.
And there's a lot of, you know, a lot of the big boys are selling the shiny penny syndrome, and
it's easier to get distracted by some of the dreams of what's possible. And yes, there's huge rewards that are potentially there in property, but it will come from applying the knowledge, focusing on one thing, doing that really well, evolving, and then moving on to other things.
Yeah, I think you've nailed it. I think you've got to put the work in. You know, it's not a get rich quick. But it's get rich slowly and stay rich forever. So that, I mean, that's the crucial thing. It's not an overnight, you know, millionaire, but the journey to get where you want to be is just so exciting as well. I think there's, you know, every deal is different. People who deal with it different, and raising the money, finding the money, you know, things getting a bit tight.
It's lots of juggling going on.
So it's
always plenty of juggling going on. Keeps you on your toes for sure.
Absolutely, but it's great. I mean, it's exciting because every day is different.
Yes, it definitely is about the journey rather than the destination in property. You mentioned at the beginning with the tea shop, as you're coming out of that, it's kind of finance a bit tight, and then getting started. And how do you attract somebody else's money into a deal when you're trying to do deals you're new and you're starting? So somebody might be listening to this, might be new, they're thinking, okay, how do you do that, or why would somebody do that?
I'll let you answer that, but I think I had the mindset to some degree, who on earth is going to lend us money? We've got no experience, we don't really know what we're doing yet, but we need money quickly to get the first deal. So that was, I had a bit of that negative mindset for a little while, but you can explain how we got, well, the first significant amount of money across the line was quite easy, to be fair.
Yeah, it's, I think we all use the phrase, if the deal is good, the money will come. And that is so true, because the way that we buy property is we make sure that we have a profit on day one. So like if we sold it on day 2, we would make maybe 20-25%. And then knowing our numbers, so we treat every property deal as its own business. So we know what we're buying it for, we know what we're going to spend, and we know within a few thousand what we're going to get out the end. We always know our exit plan. And because we're so confident in the different stages, that then it makes it really easy to actually attract money. Because even if the person's got no experience in property, but they've got the money, they can see exactly how it works, the timeline, the risk element of it is pretty low. So if you've got that in place, it's not like a, you know, finger in the air job, it's actually, you know, it's a properly calculated purchase, then the money comes. And that's exactly what we did. But it works on a like, know and trust everything that we do is like no interest.
Yes.
And it is, and I think it's really how you position yourself and seizing opportunities to present what you can offer. One of our major investors, who's private funders, who's still with us now, 5 years on, and we've got a significant amount of his money that we're recycling time and time again, came about without even asking him. It was you must know people that would invest in something like this, because he's an accountant. He was our accountant at the time. Do you know anyone that'd be interested in these? And he read through them and he said, well, I'll do these two.
Yes.
So it's how to draw people in and position yourself.
I agree with the phrase that you focus on finding really good deals and the money will find you. But often the bit we don't talk about, there's another missing piece to that if you're the world's best kept secret, nobody's going to find you. So how do we raise that awareness? How is it that how do you go about people knowing what you do?
Okay, so you just have to put your face out there. Social media is huge. We never actually ask for money. We just let people know what we do and that we use other people's money to grow our portfolio. So that sparks interest. It's like, oh, what does that mean? Is that something I can get involved with? But it's just about being seen in places time and time again. So consistency at networking, consistency on Facebook. It's just telling your story, getting people to know you, and really building relationships. Building relationships is the key to actually every element in property.
Yes.
Yeah, I think, it's very much, you've got to let the world know what you do. We wasted probably 18 months when we first set off on the property career because we didn't want our family to know that we've just spent £25,000 on a credit card.
Yes.
Investing in something we know nothing about. And I know
you would not have got much family support on that.
No. And I know my parents would have said, well, why didn't you go to school?
Yes.
So it's very much, we kept it under our hats for about 18 months, which looking back was the wrong thing to do. Because as soon as we opened up to the world, bigger amounts of funds kept coming our way.
Yes.
And again, it's consistency, being true to your word, keeping your funder informed, so following the process and giving them updates so they're confident, they've always got that security that they're not forgotten about.
Yes.
And definitely keep them updated. If it's delayed, they're all accepted of it if you keep them informed early on when you know it's going to run over time slightly. It doesn't happen very often, but when it does, they know about it before it happens. Yeah,
it's property is, there's many situations where things will cost more, they'll take longer than anticipated, and these things happen and come up in property. And it's much easier to have that conversation, somebody you have a relationship with, than it is to speak to the bank about it and, can we get an extension on this, or we need to do that, or if you're on a bridging finance or something. And I completely agree with you. I think it is about sharing the journey with people online, what you're doing. It's not a base, hey, look at me, I've made it. It's you're sharing what you're up to, what you're doing. And that allows people to get to know, like, and trust you. And ultimately, that's what people make decisions on, that if they feel they know you, they like, they trust you. Absolutely. So when they approach you, they're more comfortable already to want to work with you.
Yeah, it's quite surprising, actually, because we do a little bit of mentoring for Assets for Life in Essex. And if we go to one of their sessions or their academy days, then people come up to us, start speaking to us. We've got no idea who they are, but they're like, oh, we saw you on YouTube, or they've seen us in various places, and you do start to actually feel like
celebrity. That's
right. You do. Yeah, but then the opportunity just comes knocking as well. So it's a fantastic space to be in property.
Yeah, it's how you present yourself and being consistent and true to your word, basically.
Yeah, because it's not the visibility doesn't just attract investment, but it can attract opportunities as well, like deals and things people will bring to you because, I hear you do this kind of thing in this area. So what sort of things are you focusing on, projects and deals wise, and how do you see that evolving over the next year or two?
Well, we've just, from our networking event that we host, we've actually had quite a nice investment come along, haven't we? So
yes, significant amount of money, So
you're now working with him to to grow the portfolio, to do more exciting deals?
Yeah, a bit bigger deals. So we've looked at a few over the last week or two. We've looked at some plots of land, do some developments on. We've got a few in the pipeline that we're putting pre-apps in. So it's bigger stuff now, so the results are a bit more lucrative. As you said, the buy-to-lets are easy. They're sort of vanilla. You keep growing those, but to get bigger chunks or bigger cash inflow and assets at the end, you need to sort of eventually do bigger deals.
Yes.
Which is what we're focused on now. We do a little mentorship program, and this investor wants to shadow us and
so they're watching what you're doing.
Yeah, use his money while he's learning. So it's a win-win, really. And we're very confident that we're close to getting the first deal. He's only been on board for 3 weeks, so
very good.
We're looking at 2 more on Monday, which is a big development in Ipswich. So a bit closer to home, which is nice.
Yes.
Like you say, anything over 40 minutes, you're not interested. Ours is hour and a half generally, but we're trying to draw it back so we're a bit closer to home.
Yeah.
Because there's not a lot where you can do in the car while you're driving work-wise, is there?
Quite limited, unless you get a driver, of course.
Well, we're not quite at that level yet, but one day.
Yes, working on that. So do you think it's natural transition then to be evolving from, say, buy-to-lets to the next thing to the next thing? Do you think that is the norm and the right path?
I'm not sure. I suppose it depends on the person. Or, we work as a couple and we very much like pushing ourselves. I think we actually work best under pressure. I think we've discovered that we
Works
tend
well for a lot of people,
we work, like our best work I think comes when we're completely under pressure.
Yes.
So, and we do get bored quite easily, don't we? So the ones that are easy, we're a bit like, there's no thrill and excitement. But when there's like the bigger stuff, bigger numbers, you get to work with different people and we're growing our network the whole time, then that's where the thrill comes. And we grow as well. Our knowledge grows, everything, bank account grows, everything.
Yes.
I think the multiple streams of income give you a bit more security because the market changes as it has over the past 6-8 months. I mean, the cash flowing of a buy-to-let is sort of almost non-existent currently, but that won't last forever. So, it's about implementing the strategy that works at any one point.
Because the market adapts, we should be adapting with it as well in terms of what we're doing. And I like to think about it as evolving between different things in terms of what works and where you add things on. Maybe you start doing less of something else as you transition. I'm a big fan of the personality and understanding yourself, and I'm with you. Like typical entrepreneurs, it's very easy to get bored. A million new ideas every day, and you want to grow and learn and develop yourself as well. Hence, wanting to do bigger, different things. But some personalities are very good at building one thing really well and just replicating that as well. So I think it's good to understand ourselves better in terms of what works well for us, because what works well for one person may not necessarily be the right thing for somebody else.
Oh, 100%. Yeah, I agree with that. And some people won't like the pressure of some of the things that we do, because we do put ourselves under a lot of pressure, I suppose, to keep building on everything that we've got, and the financial pressure. Sometimes you have to have a bit of a steely constitution to deal with that as well.
Did Neil have hair when you started?
He did, lovely locks, and I was dark brown.
Well, you were, weren't you? Yeah. But it's, I don't know if there isn't a bit of drama or a bit of bit of that stomach wrenching now and again, that feeling, I don't think you're doing enough.
Yeah, I think that's what keeps us going in property.
Definitely.
We're talking about change and adapting, so we've got a new government now in charge of the country. How do you think that might impact us, investors, developers?
Oh my goodness, that's $1 million question,
That's a great one,
yeah. So obviously the rental market is going to change. From what I've been reading, and if you actually think about the changes that they want to put in place, it's actually going to drive people out of being landlords.
Yes.
So that's then obviously going to then have more properties for sale. The more properties are for sale, that means the prices are going to drop. So that gives more opportunity to buy them at a really good price.
Yeah.
It's like Who knows? But I feel that opportunity is a coming.
I think, yeah, out of adversity, there's always opportunity, and you've got to be
Yes.
in the 1% club that you do the opposite to what everyone else is doing.
Yes.
And if they drive landlords out, there's opportunity to buy lots of properties, and for whatever strategy really will you want to implement. But I don't know. I mean, the renters reform is an interesting one. Again, you read between the lines. You can interpret it how you like, can't you? To be honest, but they've got to look at the bigger picture.
Yes, it's interesting because there's lots of different opinions of what could happen. None of us know right now where it's going to go, and they probably don't know either. And each cloud could have a silver lining as well. I agree. If they start beating up landlords like the way they are probably going, then landlords are going to feel naturally, well, why are we in this space? And start retracting. And if that puts more property on the market, well, that takes rental stock away. Well, actually, that's causing a bigger problem there. What happens there? Then they want to build these 1.5 million new homes over the next 5 years. How's that going to happen? Where are they going to come from? There was a historic target of 300,000 a year that was never met. Well, how do we jump from that to even more?
Yeah.
So, yeah, I think it's interesting times. And I think interesting times also create opportunity as long as we have an open mind about, rather than, oh, this is terrible, thinking, okay, what could come from this? What new opportunities might arise from this? As when I first started in the early days, I got involved in quite a lot of creative strategies, lease options, that kind of thing. And then probably last 10-ish years, there's very little we were doing because the market evolved away from that. But now it's starting to see more people that are a little bit more motivated, might be more flexible in the way you structure a deal. So sometimes strategies move in terms of when's the right time to utilise them. So new opportunities might come from this.
I think options is definitely something that will be coming back with a vengeance over the coming months. I think, yeah, if you can master that, you'll be in a good place.
Yes.
I mean, you go back to the new government and the Bank of England now. I've always said for the last few months that there'll be an interest cut in August. Well, I'm not so sure now because I think they'll want us just keep it steady to see where Labour take the property market and everything else. So I think they'll stall it. But who really knows?
Yes, because inflation is kind of around the 2% now, and so it's it's on the cards for interest rate drop. But at the same time, it's not going to ever go back to, or we say ever, it's very unlikely to go back to how it's been, what we've got used to over the last few years. And so this has now become the new norm. We just have to accept that. As we're talking about buy-to-lets are less attractive now. That isn't going to change anytime soon, so we need to be thinking about what else can we be doing.
Definitely, yeah. I mean, money is still relatively cheap. When I got my first mortgage, my first home, it went up to 17.7%, which I nearly lost my property over it because I couldn't afford the hike. But yeah, so money's not expensive. It's just not what we've been used to over the last few years. So it's about being creative, as you say, and implementing different strategies.
Yes.
An interesting one that we've done recently is we bought a little flat in a purpose-built block of 4 flats. We bought it post-auction, so it'd been through 3 times.
Right.
They didn't accept quite a good offer.
So it'd been to the auction 3 times and came out unsold each time?
Absolutely, yeah. They turned down, I believe, 59,000, one bed flat this was in Essex. And then I went in a post-auction, 3rd one, and offered 51 and they took it.
Right.
In the meantime, this is how we worked. Jackie done all the due diligence and the research on the lease and how the leasehold freehold was structured, and we extended the lease for £1.
Yes.
And we got it revalued at 95,000, so it was a 44,000 uplift.
On that £1 paper exercise.
Absolutely,
yeah.
But it's about the knowledge of knowing how to research and whether that deal was structured in the right way.
And I think that's so powerful. Sometimes there's huge possibilities of what you could do, but we don't know what we don't know. But when you're in an environment with other like-minded people, you're learning from each other, you're thinking, okay, it gives you an idea of this might be a way. Then it's just a case of who do I need to speak to and how do I need to do this? And it's not as though you have to learn everything and know everything before you start. You learn as you go. And
absolutely.
I've been doing this for nearly 18 years, and I'm first to put my hand up and say I don't know everything there is to know about property. Might be fairly experienced and very knowledgeable. There's so much more we're learning all the time.
That's why it's so important to have a great network of people.
Yes.
And to have really, we'd like property through and through, aren't we? I think if you actually chopped us in half, we'd have property running through. But like our social events are all property people. You know, everybody that's on WhatsApp, apart from family, you know, everybody else is doing property.
They must be bored stiff.
Well, everything we do is property. It's not just a business for us. It's a lifestyle. It's our friendship groups. It's everything is property. But because we're in an environment where everybody is so helpful, so inclusive, and just everybody's so welcoming, and just really, really helpful people.
That was a massive realization for me when I first started in property. How helpful people were being, and I couldn't quite understand at the beginning. I think there must be an alternative agenda here somewhere, a different motive. But actually, as you said, people are very supportive in this world, which is amazing, and that's why people see people doing so well, because they help each other. Yeah,
it is. I mean, when we were working in the motor trade, you were earning commission, so you were scrabbling. You were, you were hiding things from people, secret conversations.
It's not a sharing environment.
Not at all. And you run your own business. Again, you're fighting with the same people, on the high street doing the same things as you. So this was our first taste of, people just sharing knowledge. And it's confusing and unsettling. Definitely unsettling to start with, but once you're in it, it's such a freeing environment.
Yeah, once you realise what a safe space it is.
Yes.
You very rarely hear about someone stealing a deal.
Yes. It's a small world, really, and people hear about it. You damage your reputation very quickly if you're doing
sort of
things like that.
Aren't you? If you, but we run our own, as Jackie said, we run our own networking event.
So I was going to ask about what kind of led to actually going along to events to maybe we should have our own networking event.
Again, that's something that evolved. We helped out a gentleman that we were very friendly with, who ran a network and a very low-key property networking event in Colchester.
It was more like just a pub get-together,
it was more like his social life. Unfortunately, he became very ill. So we said, well, while you're going through your treatment, what we'll do is we'll run it for you, so you can still just turn up. You haven't got to put any effort in.
Yes.
Because he was very poorly. And unfortunately, he passed away. So we just...
I'd hear that.
Yeah, he was a very young man as well. But we just decided that actually we could create something here, and a nice community.
Yes.
And it really has evolved into that. Jackie's put a lot of work into creating membership programs.
Yes.
On different levels of membership, so you can come in, or you can come just buy on the door.
Yes.
Literally.
It can be ad hoc, or it can be regular.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So and we've created such a safe space now for people to share everything.
Yes.
And we do a mastermind meal every quarter.
Yeah.
Where people discuss collaborations and funding and everything. We've got mortgage brokers, even our solicitors come and do talks. And so we have created a really...
creating that environment, bringing people together. And just by bringing the people, like-minded people together, things just happen from that.
Yeah, and giving them value for the cost of their ticket. Invaluable network we've got, which we lean on a lot because you don't know everything. And it is your network. The network is their net worth, isn't it? That's what they say. So
absolutely.
But it's so true.
Yes.
It sounds like a cliche, but it's the people around you that get you where you want to be.
Yes, on our networking events, the tagline is the more hands you shake, the more money you make. So.
Absolutely, yeah.
We borrowed it from somewhere, I don't know where it came from. So this has been a really enjoyable conversation, really inspiring your journey in terms of what you're doing and the difference that you're making to other people's lives and investors as well, and also what you're doing for yourselves. What's the best way for people to reach out and connect with you?
Oh, this is your department.
I think Facebook will be the best place. Yeah. So our tag is the Dobson's Property Adventures. But also on Instagram, and LinkedIn is the Dobson Property Group.
We'll put those in the description as well. We'll also put it on the screen as well.
Wonderful.
Thank you so much.
It's been a pleasure. Thank you very much for the invite.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.